Welcome to Extracurricular. I'm Eddie Geller. So happy to be here.
I'm Stephanie Vanos, Orange County School Board member here unofficially as always, and I am happy to be here too.
I feel like you've adjusted your intro so I don't make any comments on it.
Well, I don't like to be corrected.
Well, it's a good thing you're very intelligent and you don't need to be corrected very much.
Well, not true, but that's okay.
I'm sure it's very unproblematic for your boyfriend to be making corrections of you on a recorded podcast. That's not at all problematic.
Well, I'm taking care of it. No need to now.
So we got a really great interview this week. Former member of the Florida House of Representatives, Sean Shaw, had us over to his home to speak with us about Florida politics, national politics. And I thought what was some of the most intriguing, interesting stuff was what he's been hearing at the barbershop, which is something I've heard him talk about before. So some really interesting insights from that interview that I didn't expect to see coming. So I love talking to him. How'd you like talking to Sean?
Oh, I love this. I actually had not met him or talked to him. Maybe I met him briefly before, but really this is the first time I've ever talked to him and enjoyed it so much. Such a smart, thoughtful person. And I really appreciated his candor and just ability to just kind of share his opinions with us without, pausing or being too political about it. And I feel like it meant we had a really great conversation. So thankful to Sean. So glad that I know him now. So thank you for arranging that.
Oh, my pleasure. It was great. Okay, before we get into Sean, I want to talk a bit about our week because it's been quite a week. I was ready to come on here to talk about my new Switch 2. Credit to you. It was going to be my new personality for the next however many months. But I feel like a lot has happened this week, the last 24, 36 hours. What's been going on?
Well, so it's like we actually spent a lot of effort to get this Switch 2. I just want to say a lot of effort was expended in the pre-ordering and then the response to finding out the order was canceled. And then my wonderful friend who happened to have an extra pre-order and supporting his efforts waiting in line the night of the release. But
shout out to Hector. You are a hero, and not all heroes wear capes is all I can say.
Exactly. Then what happened? There was a State Board of Education meeting this week.
By the way, this has nothing to do with the Switch 2. This is a transition away from the Switch 2 subject matter, but keep going.
So what you're saying is I did not make the transition clear enough?
No, oh my God, did I just correct you? It's like I can't help it. I'm going to have to go to therapy and talk about this. This is not good.
Well, you're not the only one who needs to go to therapy after listening to these people talk at the State Board of Education meeting, that's for sure. It was a really disturbing, awful clip to watching the State Board of Education, the board members, when really just attack the Hillsborough County superintendent.
And can you explain for folks who don't know what even is a State Board of Education here in Florida?
So the State Board of Education takes some of the laws and they kind of are in charge of making the policies that interpret the laws. And so what happened at this latest meeting, apparently they sent a list of books to Hillsborough County that they wanted removed from the shelves. My understanding is the superintendent removed some of the books and then he put some of the books said they would be subject to their literary review process, which is the process we were all told we had to comply with from the Florida legislature just a couple of years ago. But they really, we find out, are not happy with the process and really attacked him, attacked media specialists in really an outrageous, egregious manner. And it was just really painful to watch them bully the superintendent.
Mm-hmm. And we're also not mentioning the fact that they essentially threaten media specialists and school board members with criminal charges. What a horrible atmosphere to put under school board members, under media specialists who are just trying to put books, age-appropriate books for kids to read so they have something to enrich their lives. So we have a library. I mean, it's insane. Like, these are people, yourself included, just trying to do their job. And they're like, actually, we're going to prosecute you criminally. It's really an authoritarian, censorious mindset, and it's disturbing.
It's wild. And I don't think that under the current law, they even have the ability to criminally prosecute people for, doing the types of review that we have right now. That's happening right now for our books. It's an appropriate review process, and I guess they just don't like the outcome, and so they're trying to get around it.
Well, I think it's this Trumpian mindset of we'll just say we're going to prosecute you, threaten you with the force of law to get what we want, to intimidate folks. And you essentially are like, I'm not going to be intimidated, which of course I love. And you are not someone who can be intimidated. And it's one of the things I love about you. So anyway, that video, we made a video that's talking more about it, showing some of the clips. That'll be on your Instagram page, Vote Vanos, by the time this podcast has been posted. So please do check that out. Okay. Enough yapping at the top. I love yapping, by the way, at the top.
It's the best.
This is the fun part. But I do want to get to the interview with Sean because, like we said, it's really great. So what you're about to hear is our interview. We had it a few days ago before, or maybe this was right after the Elon Trump spat, but before this State Board of Education messiness. So like I said, enjoy our talk with Sean, former member of the Florida House of Representatives, former nominee for Attorney General for the state of Florida. So a great guy to talk to, really smart. Enjoy our interview. Sean Shaw, welcome to the show. So happy to have you here, sir.
Happy to be here, man. It's good to see you.
You have a lovely home.
I appreciate it. The most striking feature is this little stairway staircase that goes up to the loft. But if you look at it, you'll see that there's one of those little things where you will hit your head depending on your height when you're going to the kitchen from here, and it's a hazard. So I'm going to make you sign a waiver because I'm a trial lawyer. I refuse to get sued in my own house.
Well, that must be a problem because you're a tall man.
Right.
I'm of average height. I'm 5'9". I think at some point I tried to be 5'10", but no, I'm 5'9". Steph, how tall are you?
5'3".
5'3".
So I can
She's the
make
only
it.
safe one.
I'm fine.
Yeah, she doesn't. Steph doesn't have a sign or waiver, but I will.
No, she's a lawyer. Of course, she's got to sign it first.
I mean, I respect the waiver, so I will sign the waiver because I respect the waiver. I'm just curious, like every night do you go up the stairs, or there's some nights where you can't quite make it up there?
No, it's not the stairs. It's walking underneath the stairs. And like, I'm so used to like doing my head down because if you don't, you'll hit it.
Yeah.
And so if I'm, in here on the couch and going to the kitchen, that's the issue. But thank you for the compliment about the house.
Of course. It's lovely. And thank you for having us. So, we're talking politics, Florida, national, and I kind of want to kick off our conversation because I'm curious where you're at, where people around you are thinking about this. But David Jolly, former Republican member of Congress, has announced now that he is running as a Democrat for governor here in Florida. Do you think this is the right time, the right move, the right person? I don't know. I want to kick off by hearing your thoughts on him and just Florida Democratic politics. Gonna let you go.
Welcome to the podcast.
The answer is no. I do not think it's the right thing. He's nice. He's very articulate. This is not personal, but I don't understand what we're doing here. He just officially became a Democrat recently.
Yeah.
That bothers me. If you knew you were going to do this, I would at least expect enough respect for the party to do it more than a couple months out from running to be governor. Rod Smith said one time, God, I sound old, don't I? Rod Smith, who was the state senator, former state attorney, and was the LG under Alex Sink when she ran. He said, you can join the church, you just can't lead the choir. And it just bothers me when you switch and immediately run for the governor stuff.
Right.
Like there's other stuff to run for. There's other things you can do to help. There's other infrastructure things you can do to try to make the party what it needs to be. None of that was done. I'm running to be governor. All right. Everyone's got free will to do that. But let me get in the weeds a little bit more. 2018 was the closest we ever came. And that's not because we ran moderates.
Right.
It is not because we ran former Republicans that had just switched. It is not because we didn't do that. We excited the base and got turnout. Now, I as someone who is an Alex Sink, Team Sink, and I worked on her governor's race, and we're very close personally, she came awfully close as well. But Alex had been the CEO, and she was her and Bill McBride were stalwart Democrats, and everyone knew them as Democrats. She was a moderate, but she had never played around or been a Republican. Why we think at this moment, when we should be the most mad, the most ready to fight, the most ginned up, the most upset ever in our history, and we're going to run someone who thought it was a good idea to be a Republican.
Yeah.
Until recently. I don't understand how you expect us to get excited about that. I'm not. And I always gauge, because the older you get, Eddie, the more you become a moderate. Like I haven't changed. It's just everything around me has changed. So like my politics are now, I used to be like a leftist progressive, but I've been around so long now, I guess I'm an establishment moderate. But I always think if I'm not excited, that means everybody to the left of me is not going to be excited. And I would be someone I think that you would expect to be embracing this, because all my establishment friends and everyone else I know thinks it's a good idea. And I'm the one that seems to be one of the people that is disagreeing and doesn't. But I just don't, I'm not excited about it. I don't understand the logic of it. I don't know. And there's some people who, they just see him on MSNBC and they like what he says, and he's very articulate and he's always hitting Trump. Man, that's what we need. We need people that can talk to Republicans. If your strategy to be the first governor of Florida that's a Democrat in 25 years, if your strategy is you want to talk to disaffected Republicans and that's how you're going to win, that pisses me off too. That is, you're chasing, I don't want someone chasing Republicans, to be honest, to be the Democratic nominee for governor. That can sound harsh, and you can disagree with the strategy and say, well, we need to reach out to moderates. And we've been trying to do that for the last 4 people that have run for governor.
Yeah.
It's this, we got to chase this. No, we don't. We need to show our people why they ought to be excited, why we're up for the fight, why we're a party worth fighting for. And if you get your own people in line, then NPAs and Republicans will see it and they'll come. You don't have to chase them. And you're chasing them at the expense of people like me who are going to be not excited, who are not going to be engaged and interested. And guess what? Then your turnout has a problem. And then none of this works. So that's my take on it. You asked. I knew you were going to ask. You're not surprising me, but I know it's kind of harsh to hear it like that. But this is a particular moment where I'm mad at anyone in elected office that's not talking shit and fighting.
Right.
Anyone, any people I've supported a long time, people that I wasn't an AOC fan for a long time. I am now.
Yeah.
Anyone that's fighting and punching and refusing to be nice, I'm with it. Because this moment in time is not this Schumer stuff.
Oh, God.
And it's not even Hakeem Jeffries, who I'm very disappointed in. That's not, this particular moment in time is, opposition. It's fighting. It's, putting on some gloves and going crazy. It's not the MSNBC guy that just became a Democrat running to be the Democratic nominee in Florida. I don't get it.
Sean Shaw has opinions.
You asked a specific question I couldn't get out of. Now, if you ask an open-ended question, I can be like, well, the sun's out and I like to go fishing or whatever.
I'm curious, what does that stir up in you, Steph, as you hear that? And because Steph, you are in your own belly of the beast in the school board, and what's happening in the state with education. I don't know. Listening to Sean's answer, what do you kind of feel?
I mean, I'm just curious why he has been able to garner support so quickly from people within the party and the establishment. I mean, I just don't know
who else. That is one of the arguments for him, which is a bad argument. Mm-hmm. One of the arguments is, who else you got?
Yeah. Do we have other people?
I don't care. That's not how I'm basing. I'm not going to support someone because there's no one else.
Yeah.
But I've heard that argument from a lot of people. Sean, who else is going to run? He's the guy. And that's, I think, behind a lot of the establishment people who, like you say, it's instant. Like he has them in a way that is shocking, but I think it's the MSNBC profile.
Yeah, and I would just say, I'm just curious. We kind of have seen this. We saw this play out with Charlie Crist.
We saw the exact, and guess what? Charlie had been governor.
Right.
Charlie had been attorney general, governor, a lot more than Jolly had been.
And so I don't know, is it because now we have better, and I hate to say, better consultants that are, that now they have a new plan? Like, what is, I don't know. I have questions.
Well, I mean, I feel like for a while we were hearing other, quote unquote, exciting names talking about running for governor. And it seems like after 2024, their hopes were sort of dashed for them to see that as a real possibility. And so here we are with David Jolly. I mean, I hope that we do have other people who step up. I mean, I think a robust process is going to be good for us. I mean, do you feel like you are, because let me say this. Sometimes I do feel like a fatalist about Florida. Like has it gone too far? Have Republicans really taken over the state? I mean, I don't think But then I try and quell those feelings because we're never going to win if we feel like we're just always going to be defeated. That you can't be in that mindset, but it is tempting. But I don't know. It sounds like you do sometimes have those feelings.
Well, you got to be realistic.
Right.
But you also have to be hopeful. And in Florida, as a Democrat, it's hard to do those two things at the same time. But I always tell people, you'll know when I think there's a chance because I'll run for statewide office again. Like, you'll know when there's a chance.
Right.
I'd run for attorney general in a heartbeat if I thought, it was a viable thing. And just because other people think it is and I don't, that's okay. Like, we just have different opinions on viability. But Florida's in a bad way. We have a math problem as Democrats. Yeah. It's not a policy issue. It is a pure math problem. The people that moved here after DeSantis became governor ain't our people. We used to think that all this diversity and everybody moving to Florida and South Florida being so, a melting pot would be in our favor. What has happened is every Republican from California has moved to Florida. Every Republican from a blue state has moved to Florida. And you start 1 million votes plus down day one.
Yep.
And how you try to make that up is, I lost for the countywide here in Hillsborough last time. Hillsborough is not a blue county anymore. We have 4 blue counties left in Florida. And Miami-Dade ain't one of them. Right. So I don't know how you win statewide with that kind of math issue.
Yeah.
You got to put together, a hell of a thing. But to your point, the first Democrat to break through, you're not going to see coming.
Right.
It's not going to be someone that planned it and came from the ground up and there's a swell and you're like, oh no, it's going to be us sitting around here saying this person doesn't have a chance. And then in October, you're like, oh my God, this could happen. Right. That's how it's going to look. We're not going to see it coming. So you got to keep running. Yeah. And quality people have to keep running. We got to keep doing this. Republicans were in awful shape in the 90s.
Yeah.
And they pulled themselves out of it. So, we just got to keep working at it. But I also don't think this is a voter registration issue either. It used to be that if you dump enough money in voter registration and you get people to register as Democrats, it's cool. I think this is a vibe, culture, kind of branding issue where no one wants to be a Democrat.
I actually was just talking about this with Steph because we were talking about a debate between Nancy Pelosi and Bernie Sanders. It's not even necessarily germane to exactly what we're talking about, but Nancy Pelosi said, well, Democrats, we're a workers' party, which on the policy merits, 100%. Like, that's what we fight for. But I think, talking about the vibes, we do not feel like the workers' party.
We feel like an elite, weird party of elites and weird people. Yeah. And that's not a good combination.
And I'm not an elite, so where does that leave me? I think
as a weirdo. You heard what I said.
Even worse. Well, so I've heard, the Florida Democratic Party has, or at least Nikki Fried, has floated this idea of opening up the primaries in our state. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that helps us?
You guys are asking all the fun stuff, right? I think that's a terrible idea. So there was an amendment to have jungle primaries in Florida, which is essentially what they do in California. And I was the leader of the opposition. And I'm going to take credit. We killed that amendment. Mm-hmm. And the reason I was against it was, one, join a party. You want to vote in the primaries? Join a party. But two, black and brown and progressive voting power gets so diluted in a primary when everyone can vote in it, right? The power of black people and progressive people and people of color in a primary is a certain number. It's a certain percentage. When you start letting everybody get in, that number dwindles down very fast, depending on where you are and what numbers you're looking at. And I didn't think that. I ain't like that. I just told you, I don't like chasing stuff at the expense of other things. Why are we chasing NPAs and all these other things over here, and then you want to take black voting power from 30% to 19% in a primary? That's not, and that was the result of that amendment that we fought against, I think it was 2020, I don't know. The result of that amendment would have been Ron DeSantis versus Adam Putnam for the governor's race because they were the top two vote getters. Gillum a Democrat would not have even been one of the final two. That's what you want? We're not California. Our demographics would create nasty results if we did that kind of jungle primary that they do then. So what she's interested in now is not jungle, it's something different, but they even have admitted that it would still dilute black voting power because the Orlando Sentinel did an article, and I was mentioned in it. They did some op-ed, and the guy who we fought against last time was saying how wrong I was. Well, we beat him. That's how wrong I was that we beat him at an amendment. But I'll be against it again if it dilutes, which they admit it does.
Yeah.
That's a terrible message to send to your base, that I want to chase these NPAs over here at the expense of you.
Which is what really we're doing with the governor's race,
bingo.
too. Yeah.
And you wonder why we ain't excited. Like, you cannot go to the black community when you have jungle primaries and say anything about how the Democratic Party is with you and understands your plight and blah, blah. You've just reduced their voting power from 30 to 20%.
Yeah, no.
And when we fought against it last time, everyone was for it because it sounds great. And I got in a lot of trouble with a lot of people because I was so against it. But we had the data, and finally, I talked to the NAACP pretty candidly, and I was like, "Do you guys see? Let me." And we had specific seats that this is a black seat right now, gone. This is a Hispanic seat, gone. We pointed to specific people in specific seats, and we did the report and we did the data and we beat it. But I told Nikki, we'll see. But if it does the same thing, I ain't with it for the same reason. And again, join a party.
So we gotta figure out how we get people to join the party. That's the problem.
Well, vibes.
Yeah.
It's not two old ladies sitting outside of Publix like it used to be. Like, that used to be kind of what the deal was. We have to be a party that people want to deal with. We're not.
Yeah.
We're weird and elitist and don't do nothing is what people think. We got to be a party that's exciting, that's fighting. That if we had a whole bunch of Jasmine Crockett's and AOCs and Bernies, I bet you voter registration, you wouldn't have to sit outside of Publix and beg people to be Democrats.
Yeah.
Like, they want fight. They want, but we're not rising to the challenge of what's going on right now. And people see it. And they're not going to join a party where Schumer is, signing a budget deal with Republicans.
Yeah, it's very uninspiring.
Yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned a few names, Crockett, AOC. Is there anyone else that as you're watching, either here in Florida or nationally, that you're like, okay, this other person is getting it? I don't know. I'm curious if you have any other folks.
Crockett I like just because she's so aggressive and refuses to give an inch on anything.
It's so great.
And that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
People are watching. People are watching us to see. If you're not fighting in this time, if you are acting like you acted 4 years ago, right now, you ought not be running again. Like, this is different, and you need to act like it. This is not. There's all these policy things are super important, and you can do two things at the same time. You can vote right on policy, but you can also understand that everything needs to be fought. Everything needs to be more aggressive. I like Pritzker.
Oh yeah.
He's rich enough that he can be an ass,
right.
Which is a kind of a, you'd have to balance it, but I like the way he talks.
Yeah.
I want aggression, and I want fight, and I want someone that is authentic with that. Mm-hmm. And you can also tell some inauthentic people that seem like they want to fight but end up not doing it. Cory Booker. But that's what I want these days. And I didn't used to be there, but I'm there now.
You know who I like? This school board member in Orange County, Stephanie Vanos. Really, big fan of hers.
Not familiar.
Not familiar. Okay, you're not aware. Okay, I'll send you some links. Okay. She's pretty good.
Okay, so I hear you're involved with the Hillsborough Education Foundation, which I have a special interest in.
Oh, nice. I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about that.
I joined that board. Man, it's been like 10, 12 years now. But I have a huge belief in public education, and back then, it was a little bit more theoretical than even it is now. They were attacking it back then, but not kind of even like it is now. So I'm always one that education is the great equalizer, educational opportunities. I hate that people's schools look different based on geography. I hate that some classes have laptops and some don't. Some have internet, some don't. I used to represent the urban core of Tampa, essentially black folks in Tampa I represented. And I would tell school board members and the superintendent all the time, drive around my district, and then I want you to come back to my office and tell me that every student is getting the same education in this county. I'm a curse right now. Edit it out. You'll be a lie if you saw schools in the hood in Tampa where the roof's falling in, where it rains when it leaks when it rains. Now go to South Tampa. You won't see any of that. Now you can explain to me, and it's people moving, and it's population changes, and it's PTA. You can all the gobbledygook you want. That little kid that goes to this school in the hood does not get the same education as the little kid that goes to school in South Tampa, and that sucks.
Yeah.
And I think charters and vouchers make that worse. I think that they make the spread even worse. So I got involved because of those reasons. And I was also, you become chair when you don't want to be.
I was going to say, you complained so much that they said, why don't you come over and be on the foundation?
It's interesting. The board is made up of business leaders and leaders in the community who want to help education. It's really interesting. Like the head of AmScott and the head of TICO, like the really big companies here, and they do a great job. And so I was asked to be the secretary, which is like the easiest job because I was asked to be secretary last time, and then a couple people resigned, and so I jumped up the ladder. I'm honored. I'm happy to do it. I'm one of the reasons. It's a great organization. I wouldn't have agreed to if I didn't want to. I really like it, but we serve predominantly students of color. A lot of them are the first in their family to go to college and be on that track, and I'm the first chair that's African American ever, and that meant something to me. That was something that I thought was important and cool, that we've reached that point. But it's an organization. I love it. And we're up against, some really tough circumstances, the way not only Tallahassee, but locally. We're no longer a blue county. And what that means for education is that it's much harder to receive funds.
Yep.
And the fact that you have to rely on local and county government for funds at all tells you how much Tallahassee is underfunding public education, right? Like, we shouldn't have to pass taxes locally to help our kids because there's such a gap. Like, Tallahassee ought to be funding how they need to fund, but they don't. So all these counties have to pass their own taxes and referendums and stuff. But, there's big gaps. We have one of the things we do that's cool, we scholarship and mentor. We've got a teaching tools store, which essentially is free supplies for teachers that need them to come in and just get them.
Love it.
And that's one of the most heartwarming things we do. The scholarships, and one of the stories that I have was a good one. You might have passed this Publix when you were coming here. And this is the neighborhood I used to represent as well. So that Publix is where I'd get cussed out by constituents. If you went to and this is a really engaged constituency. They know who their state represent. Like, most people don't. Right. They knew. And so if I was back, whether I'd done right or wrong, they were cussing at me. I was like, guys, I voted the right way. I'm mad. If you're in this Publix, I guarantee you are happy with the way I voted. You're not in here if you're mad at me about the way I voted. Yeah. But someone came up to me and was like, Mr. Shaw. And that was always when I knew I was going to get cussed out. And it was a mother and her kid. And she said, you interviewed my son to be a scholarship recipient for the Education Foundation, and he's in college and he's doing great, and the kid was right there, and I'd been the one that had interviewed him for the scholarship, and it was cool to see the whole thing come full circle. But it's a great organization. It's not political. It's just doing education stuff. Sometimes that does get political. When sometimes we have to take positions that you don't think are controversial, but sometimes they are. But it's really fulfilling in a way that sometimes politics is not.
Yeah, it's much more rewarding than being up in Tallahassee, which you have experience doing too.
I wouldn't do that for a lot of money.
Your Tallahassee days are over. Say it now.
Yeah, I just sold my house in Tallahassee. I'll tell you that. I had a townhouse that I'd kept because I was renting it out, and when I was in Tallahassee, which was a while ago, 6-8 years. Seems like lifetimes ago, not just in time, but in culture. We actually spent time with Republicans, and you would go to dinner or have drinks or engage. We had policy discussions. God, I sound old again.
I love it.
I sound like the Federalist Papers here. But we had policy discussions. We disagreed, but we'd have them. What discussion am I going to have with a Republican who believes anything associated with DEI is bad and doesn't believe in certain books being in a library, most of them because they're black? What are we going to drink about? What kind of dinner? What are we going to? Not a damn thing. And it creates, this chasm between people. Byron Donald, who's going to be, I think, the governor, and I were really good friends. We went out every night. Oh. And we couldn't disagree more. But we talked about it and we hung out and it was fine. I wouldn't hang out with a Republican up in Tallahassee now because of kind of the stuff there's nothing for us to talk about.
Right.
And it's so nasty and it's such an attack. We disagreed, back then, but it just seemed different. It's just nasty for the sake of nastiness now. And I'm not that's just not compelling. It's not something I want to do.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on the budget process? It's been so drawn out this year, and will we reach an agreement? Do you remember what are your thoughts about it?
Well, the legislature finally stood up to the governor. It took them long enough to do it, but you know what happens when your poll numbers start going down? Stuff like this happens. Like when DeSantis was polling high, and when he might have been the successor to Trump, you heard none of this.
Right.
There was no opposition to him. Politics is funny this way. He was doing all this obnoxious stuff, and they were letting him do it with zero pushback. The minute he goes and loses to Trump and Trump wins and it's clear Trump hates him and his numbers start going down, like everything's a problem now. Like they don't know we're not passing your budget. Oh, you're a fraud. Like there's investigation. It's hilarious how quick this happens. But, he's the governor, so he ultimately has power to veto and do these things. So they'll pass it. But the fact that it got this nasty tells you how much his power has waned.
Yeah, for sure.
The fact that they are the House, which is Democrats are irrelevant in Tallahassee, right? We're the super minority. The fact that he is getting investigated by the Republican House of Representatives and publicly accused and accusing his wife of doing bad stuff, that would have never happened. Never happened 2 years ago or 3. Never.
All right. Well, let's shift a little bit to some national politics stuff. You are a DNC member, correct? Can you explain to our audience who may not know, what is a DNC member? They might be registered as a Democrat and think they're, a member, but what is it that you are, and explain it to folks.
I need someone to tell me.
Not existentially. Just in this purview.
So there are, I think, 12 elected DNC members from Florida. I'm one of the elected 12. And we essentially, represent the state at the National Democratic Convention meetings where, it's a lot of nerdy stuff. We have rules and bylaws and caucus meetings, and we kind of talk about strategy and messaging and those things. But a lot of it is gobbledygook.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it is kind of, just party weird stuff that's not interesting to people until you start getting to a presidential race.
Right.
Then we're very important, right? Then everybody wants to know who we are and what we're talking about. But it's a lot of the infrastructure, like how much money the party sends down to state parties, a lot of rules about who, it's just a lot of in the weeds type stuff, particularly in an off year election like this. But when it's a presidential election, it's, it's important. We play a role in particularly in the presidential. For example, I don't know if this has already happened. Is Iowa still the first presidential primary state?
I thought it was South Carolina.
Well,
So
the DNC has an ability to change those orders,
Right.
and so some of those things are important. And obviously how the money is spent is probably the most important thing we do. But it's just very in the weeds.
Yeah.
It's very in the weeds. And so people I think we're more relevant than we might be. It's a lot of in the weeds stuff, but I'm a member, not surprisingly, of the DNC Black Caucus, the DNC, another caucus, but we go around the country and kind of listen what's important, what do you think's important, bring that back to the DNC for them to maybe create the platform for the party and make sure we're talking to people about what they want to be talked about. So those kind of things.
So you were one of the people who threw the primary to Hillary, and
well, I wasn't on it then, but yes, I would have been.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, that always annoys me as someone who supported Bernie in 2016, and I was working at the Democratic National Committee at the time, and there's still a refusal, and I feel like this is again bubbling up a little bit about
it's exactly what's bubbling up. Again.
Yeah, is the power of the DNC, folks like you or people who work at the DNC, to sway a primary. And as a progressive, as someone who wants to see someone like Bernie or whoever, and I agree, a fighter right now is what I'm really looking for. You got to win votes. You got to, this is politics. You have to persuade people and motivate people. And it breaks my heart, but he didn't do that, and we don't need to relitigate it. But I want to clarify for people. It's you can't go in there and switch some levers. And that's not to say there isn't persuasion among, party elite. That is a thing that happens. But in terms of just, pushing a primary to one person or another, that's not really a thing that's possible.
It's not what you should be doing as a DNC member. And I know where you're about to probably head and ask me, but we love a segue. It's wholly inappropriate, I think, to be the umpire and also want to throw strikes. Like you can't do both. And that's why I think it's unfortunate what's kind of that one of the things that's bubbling up. I think the only reason people are interested in the DNC now is because of probably what we're going to talk about, particularly in Florida. But it's very reminiscent of the Hillary Bernie thing, and because the sides are kind of switched now.
Yeah.
If you want to be consistent, like if you're mad that the DNC was putting their thumb on the scale against Bernie, then you ought to be mad that someone wants to be a DNC member and play around in primaries.
Okay, let me set the stage for folks who might not know what we're talking about. So a vice chair of the DNC recently elected, David Hogg, survivor of the Parkland shooting, amazing activist for March for Our Lives, won this position and now has come out and talked about his PAC, Leaders We Deserve, I believe, spending $20 million to elect, essentially to knock out do nothing, as he would refer to them, do nothing Democrats in Democratic primaries. So essentially, he is a vice chair of the DNC and also wants to spend money in Democratic primaries. And so that has caused a lot of controversy. And there's going to be another election, right?
Yep. Well, I think we're going to vote to see if there is another election or how it proceeds.
So long story short, this young, brash DNC vice chair has said, I'm going to spend money in Democratic primaries against incumbents. And it has caused a lot of controversy. And so that's what Sean's referring to for folks who don't know.
Yeah. And when he was running for vice chair, he didn't say anything about taking out Democrats. Because I was on the DNC when these elections were going on and everyone was coming to us to try to get our votes. That was not something that was publicly kind of talked about that he was going to do. And he wins, and now we're doing this. And so one of the things people have said to me, like, well, Sean, we need these young activists. Like, if you're doing this to David, like it's pushing everybody away and we're going to suffer. That is irrelevant to the question here. If he's doing wrong, I don't care if it's a black person.
Yeah.
I don't care. They got to go. And you can't do both. You cannot be on the DNC and want to take out people in primaries. You have to do one or the other. And I am very cognizant that he is exactly the type of person that we want involved, and he's a great messenger, and he's young. That's the kind of voter we need. I got it. You cannot be a member of the DNC and take out. You cannot do both. I don't care what constituency you represent. It is wrong, and it's exactly all these people. This is what I was referring to before. The people that are supporting David and want us to keep him are the same people that were pissed when the DNC was messing around with Bernie and Hillary. Like, keep it consistent. If you don't want the DNC playing around in races, David can't be on the DNC playing around in races.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you a question. So I would imagine that other people who are in the DNC are just, obviously politically involved people that probably are, I don't know, tell me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine that they are kind of doing stuff behind the scenes to influence elections. Like, what would you say to that? Is it just because he's come out so, just come out and said this is what he's going to do? Is it because he has the money? Like, do you get the question I'm asking?
That's a good question. And now I need to see if I am allowed to endorse in certain races. I need to actually make sure that I'm not talking out both sides of my mouth at the same time. That's true.
That wasn't my intent.
No, but that's a very good question. But I'm also not the leader of a PAC that is going to spend $20 million to take people out, incumbents out. Yeah. He has said, not only am I going to get involved in primaries, I am getting involved to take out currently elected Democrats. Yeah. That is a step further than just getting involved in primaries. That means there's a sitting congressperson that's a Democrat that you're mad at. I'm going to go after that person. You can't be the vice chair of the DNC and do that. Now, and it's also an officer of the DNC is different than the low me, right? I'm elected from Florida. I'm one of a lot of people.
You're very important, though.
I ain't the vice chair. I'm not one of the officers of the Democratic National Committee. So there's levels here, but your question is a good one, and I'm going to actually figure that out before I get removed my damn self playing around in politics. But it is I did not like it when it first came out at all, and David played the victim in a way that I also didn't like. You're going to run all my kind of vote. That's fine, but your constituency, like I said, it doesn't matter what your constituency is. You can't do both things. We already were pissed about this before. We can't do it. Because the next time, it might not be David taken out. It might be some old establishment elite white guy that y'all don't like, and he's going to be the person getting involved in primaries, and then it won't look so great, right?
Yeah. No, I think consistency is so important, and I think it turns people off when we feel like different rules apply, different times, different people. That's when you don't trust parties. That's when you don't want to be a part of a party.
I thought this was an easy call, but it's because of David and how much people like him and his constituency and who loves him that it's becoming so like not consistent. Like I thought this was an easy call. You can't do both, right? Well, we need his voters. I didn't ask that. You can't do both, right? But we'll see. It has gotten kind of nasty. And so we'll see.
I don't.
Hey, that's fun.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you said, but I'm just gonna zag and say I can't bring myself to care. I just, I think as someone who is not elected, who has not spent my time, doing this work, I don't know, and I wanted to articulate this because this is probably. There's probably plenty of people who feel the same way I do. And again, I don't think anything you said is wrong. And I don't think on the merits you're wrong. But I'm also I don't know. I just feel like there's so much.
If you told me you cared, I'd be more disturbed. Like, you're not supposed to care. That's the point. Who does care? This is, when you ask me what the DNC does, half the stuff we do is this kind of in the weeds type weird stuff.
Well,
like,
when you were describing it, you actually looked a little bored as you were describing it.
Like, who cares? Like, we also need to get to the business of electing Democrats.
Yes.
And this is a distraction. I mean, I get it. But it's part of we're elected to the DNC and we got to do what we're supposed to do. And this is an issue that's come up, but it is a huge distraction. No one cares. Besides, very small, limited population. No one cares. This is not what people are revved up about or can even get revved up about.
Well, and I'm also,
I agree.
I wonder how much $20 million, like I'm just thinking about the realistic application. That's a lot of money, but also I'm just curious how impactful.
$500,000 in a congressional primary is money.
Fair.
A primary.
Yeah.
Now, when you get to the general, maybe not, but you know this.
Yeah.
When you ran, someone getting $500,000 from David Hogg.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point.
You got a problem.
I would have loved $500,000 when I was
Bingo.
running.
$500,000 in a primary.
That's a good point.
Is impactful.
No, that's a fair point. Is there some way to retroactively get $500,000? Okay.
I think you're out of luck. Your call time was not on point, obviously.
No, look,
you just needed one person.
Okay.
Wow.
Can I anytime I can complain about this to someone who gets it, I love to complain about it, is Steph did such a good job when she was running, did so many in-person events. Like she would do an event and someone else would say, do an event. Steph barely had to do any call time. And let me just say, call time, if you're listening, you don't know, it's when you sit on the phone, you call people and ask for money. It's terrible. It's evil. Shouldn't be part of our politics. It's the worst. But all of us had to do it. And Steph didn't have to do it.
No,
and
I did it. I did.
How many people did you call, you think?
I'm just saying, we have to play to our strengths. And, if that was not my strength, then I did something else.
Well, it's also what you're running for and what the budget is. Yeah. Like, if the budget is 50, that's different call times than if the budget's $1 million.
Yeah.
Or if the budget's 10 million, the call time's different.
Yeah.
Totally.
No, I'm just jealous. And
he clearly has feelings about this. And it bubbled up here in the podcast. It's hilarious, but he has feelings about this.
Well, that was a tough part of it, but, okay. So last thing and we can, if there's anything else, we can think of, we can talk about it. One thing you've mentioned before, and maybe this even tethers back to the previous conversation we were having, is I've heard you talk a couple of times when we've hung out, what you're hearing in barbershops. And I don't mean to make you the extracurricular podcast, the name of our podcast, the extracurricular Black correspondent, but you are in barbershops, Black barbershops, and I am curious, like, what are you hearing these days? Like, is the sentiment changing at all? I don't know. I just want to throw to you for that.
I'll tell you, I knew there were alarm bells going off when I heard how negative they were talking about Kamala and how positive they were talking about Trump. And these were alarm bells that were started to, the barbershop, first of all, is fascinating because it's such a direct tap into culture. And I talk to political people and nerds all day. That's regular people in the barbershop.
Yep.
And one that was so pro DeSantis around COVID because he kept the barbershop open and we love him. And that's not something I would have picked up on in anyone I talked to.
Yeah.
It's fascinating that I've learned so much from listening to them. And the first thing I learned was, if you believe both parties are racist and not looking out for your best interests, why do you care? And we believe that the Democrats are so much better than Republicans on race that we just have that assumption built into everything we think about and talk about. If that barbershop told me everyone does not share that assumption. If that assumption ain't shared, you got a serious problem.
Right.
And so I started picking up on that, and how the masculinity of Trump clearly was attractive to some people. But the anti-Kamala pro-Trump stuff is because it looked like a winning campaign to me. Kamala's campaign looked like a winning campaign,
Great
but I
job.
realized it looked like a winning campaign from 2012. That's why it looked like a winning campaign to me. It wasn't a winning campaign for 24, but the barbershop was just killing her and just very negative. And some of it was sexism. Some of it was just the pro-Trump stuff, but it was just such a feeling. But it was unanimous, kind of. It wasn't just, I was the weirdo. And the barbershop also turned very pro-Trump during the time I've been there. When I first got there, there was one barber that had a MAGA hat, but it was kind of, black barbershops are a lot of trolling. And he was just trolling. Like right before the election, I was the only person that was still probably a Democrat, or at least talking about it. Now it has turned now because he's kind of so obnoxious.
Yeah.
And even they can see the pandering of releasing all these rappers. Like, I know what he thinks he's doing, but come on. And so it's not, you can see kind of the shift. And when I go in there, they're like, God, this guy sucks. I was like, I told you that 5 years ago. But you learn a lot, man. And so but unfortunately, what I'm hearing now, and it's something that I'm also hearing from a lot of former electeds and people that are involved in politics that are African-American. Why should I care? We tried.
Yeah.
We all voted for Kamala. We did the right thing. But I'm tired of this. This is a problem that you all need to fix. And if you look at all the protests and the things going on in the town halls, I see an absence of black people, at least the pictures I see. I'm very worried about the midterms because we all think that there's a possibility they could go well. And if he's so bad and people are so mad, we need to get black people re-engaged. They're not engaged in a way, at least the ones I talk to. But this is not just the barbershop, though. This is also my former electeds who feel the same way that, what more can I do? Like, I'm done. Like, y'all, this is a y'all problem, which is not. But Kamala losing took a lot of wind out of a lot of sails. And I don't think that wound is fully healed. I don't know how to heal it, but I don't think the party even sees what I'm describing even. I'm not sure they're seeing this coming.
Well, I'm glad you're talking about it because it's an important discussion to have. And I don't think it's something we can or should shy away from.
Because I feel it. I only started getting, like, recently. I felt it.
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of like, I'm tired. Like, gosh, man. But it's just, I can feel it.
Yeah.
And when I start hearing it from the barbershop and other electeds and former electeds, it was very alarm bells.
Yeah.
Because the midterm, nothing goes right if black people aren't showing up at 90% and voting for Democrats at 90%. None of the math works. Like, that's how this works, is 90-90.
Yeah.
And if one of those numbers is off.
I'm just so curious, what was turning them off about Kamala?
It was a lot of testosterone driven stuff that I was hearing. And in fact, we got into a pretty aggressive fight because I told him, I was like, when Hillary was running, I heard none of this. Yeah. Tell me why you're doing this to Kamala and not Hillary. And the insinuation was that you're doing it to a black woman and not a white woman. And so that's the argument we got into. That's probably the most aggressive argument we've ever had in the barbershop because he stopped cutting my hair for us to yell at each other. But it was a lot of sexism was driven, but it was a lot of like Trump is. He is a strong man.
I was gonna say, I just want a strong man, a protector, someone who will.
Trump doesn't play that shit. I like it. It doesn't fine if you disagree with him on stuff, that's fine. But Trump is a strong, and that is appealing to some. And it was, it was not based on any. Again, it was all vibes.
Yep.
Wasn't any policy stuff. And the only thing that turned them around from DeSantis was the book banning and the Black History stuff. So that happened after COVID. The whole barbershop were DeSantis fans. But when the Black History and the book banning started happening, I went into the barbershop and I could tell there was a shift. They were like, God, you can't just ban all of history. I was like, well, he kept the barbershop open though. I thought that's what you wanted. And they are no longer, some things can turn. I noticed that turned them back off DeSantis, but the Trump stuff, man, I saw it over a 1.5 year period that just slowly going there. And that's when I also knew we had a black man problem that people I think recognize now. But that was like when I first started noticing it was how the barbershop was turning. And again, none of this would I have gotten other than the barbershop, because everyone you talk to is another Democrat, or you talk to pollsters, or you talk to this people, and they all talk to each other, and they all think that none of this would I have picked up on other than just the barbershop. And you're like, that's interesting.
Well, I think it's a really good point. I feel like we need to get out of and I know I've talked about this, and, we need to get out of the groups that we're in. Like we need to, I need to talk to, we need to talk to my running group. I'm trapped with them for 10 miles. Like we're going to talk about politics. Like, I think it's just important to get out of that bubble and talk to different people who aren't normally engaged. We need them.
Like just going to a DNC meeting, you're not doing your job. Like that is not what's up. You gotta be talking to your like neighbors and friends and running groups and everyone else that you interact with that doesn't talk politics. It's like not political, and you'll learn a ton if you will just kind of listen to them. Like I just listen to the barbershop a lot and don't engage unless I can't take it. And I couldn't take it with the Kamala Hillary stuff, but I just listen, and it's fascinating what kind of you hear, and it ends up, it resonates in a way that ends up being relevant. Let me just say it that way. And that's when I started having alarm bells go off, was how negative they were at Kamala, like very. And because I'm not sexist, but that doesn't mean that there's not a whole huge community of people that are. So like I'm blind to it. Like a woman's fine, doesn't matter to me. But then you get in a room like that and you're like, holy, this is a problem.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. And I think some after the fact polling has showed that people felt, a lot of people felt that way, unfortunately.
I just would also like to be on recorded record as not being a sexist. Can we just, I was going to say,
if you weren't going to say it.
Wait, do I need to say that too?
Look, women can be sexist.
I am not a sexist.
All right. We have a form for you to sign. Okay. Waivers. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for giving us your time. What's next for you?
I don't know, man. I'm involved in politics. I do a lot of state stuff, and I'm involved in a lot of the infrastructure. That I don't think the infrastructure can support a successful statewide run for anyone right now. It doesn't matter who the candidate is. So I try to help to fix some of the infrastructure in different organizations so that when we do have a superstar, maybe, that they can win. No one can win Florida right now that's a Democrat just because we can't support them. So I do a lot of involved there. But like personally, I don't know if I ever run again. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. Yeah. But in Florida, there's very limited things that a Democrat can run for at this time. So I enjoy my boat. It's boat season now, so I damn sure not run. Call me in the winter and see if I'm interested in running for office. But like in the summer, you can't ever get my attention. But I don't know. Like I'm still involved, but Florida's just such a rough place unless you live in one of the good counties is Orange, but unless you live in one of the good counties, like it's a rough place to be for us Democrats. We got to keep at it. But if you're talking about my personal political stuff, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
I'm getting calls about midterm stuff, and what I've told people is you'll see the midterms coming a mile away if it's going to be a wave for us. You won't have to wonder.
Yeah.
You will see it. I don't see it yet. It's early. Like if it happened right now, it wouldn't be what I think we want it to be, but you'll see it coming a mile away. And if the midterms look a mile away like it's going to be a wave, then come talk to me. Maybe we'll be interested, but I just don't see it yet.
Well, thank you for all the work that you do, truly. And we would be very lucky if you decided to run for something again, because I think you are a wonderful human being. And
I appreciate it, man.
Of course. So grateful to talk to you, grateful for your work, and look forward to the next conversation.
No, this is great. I'm glad you all are doing this. This is wonderful. Yeah,
thank
I
you.
like this. This is good.
Thank you so much. And thanks again for your work for the foundation.
No, of course. I got a new
County.
favorite school board member now to follow in Orange County.
And hey, anytime you want to come to Orange County, you want a movie, you could run for something.
I could run for a lot of things in Orange County.
Yeah.